All right, we are back for round 3, assuming our opponent joins this match. And they do. We would like to play first. This hand's fine. Just gonna fetch for probably a forest and play the Astrolabe. Snow-covered island pass. So hard to know what they're on. 2 lands or an extra land is nice. Both of them being non-basic is less nice. I'm gonna put this back and put this underneath it. I'll play this to leave up swords. Don't know if it will matter. Prismatic Vista means I'm a little less worried about the lands being non-basic. Sylvan Library. I don't think that's forcible, just because we have this Council's Judgment. Is that true, though? We can't force if they do something about the Council's Judgment. I don't really want to. Maybe we just let it resolve and start killing them with Oko. And that pressures them to not draw cards. Just sucks if they have like a forcible for the Oko. Alright, I think I'm going to force this. It's not like Council's Judgment will be bad later in the game. Now, I know this keeps me off double white, but I think just pressuring the life total is fine. That's okay. It's annoying. We don't get the flashback. Surprised I guess they wanted to play around like another Oko or some sort of Planeswalker. I wonder what they could have in hand. I think I want to do this end step. Like, obviously, if you draw like a Ponder or something, it's good. But if they have, say, like Drown in the lock, I want them to use the mana on their turn. That's okay. All right, I'll fetch here to thin a little bit. It's a great draw. I think I will start with it. Probably don't need 2 swords. We'll start with this Teferi, I think. Because if they have Ice Fang Koala, we want them to play it in response. This might be a hard cast Force of Negation. It is. All right, so they have 2 cards left. I think this is worth a Force. It represents +2 cards anyway, plus the passive is good. So yeah, I'm going to try forcing this. They might force back. They do not force back. It's great for us. All right, and now I'm going to fetch a Plains. And then bounce the Koala back to my hand. We didn't want the swords on top. And we do want to have swords up in case they have like Oko to Elk the Astrolabe. And that's fine. See now. So that's basically a 3-for-1 there, which is nice. You know, we drew 2 cards with the Teferi and took a card off them, which is why I'm totally fine with forcing the Force of Negation. This seems like a shuffle. I think drawing Ponder or Astrolabe is more important than like having one more Storm for Flusterstorm. Let's see what they decide to do. Obviously, in some sense, it doesn't matter. I think I don't want to block right now. Their life total is at 6. You know, if I don't find an answer to the Elk in a lot of draws, I can swords it. So obviously this is a good, what do they pitch? Force? That makes a lot of sense based on how they played so far. I'll vote for this. So they've gone through 2 Force of Wills, but they played out their 5th land, and it's not even a fetch land. I almost want to save this Brainstorm. I think I will swords the Astrolabe now, though. My life total is getting a little bit low, and I have an extra one for like an Uro or something. This also might bait them into using the Force of Will here, which is very good for us because we just get to, you know, get value off of this swords that was kind of sitting in our hand, not doing anything otherwise. And they've tapped out for their whole turn. Put the Spell Pierce back on top. I feel like that's less likely to be useful. And I have so many good 3-drops in my deck that I want to just brainstorm now. That's kind of rough, but there's not much you can do about it. I think it's worth it to lock down one of my lands, lock down 2 of my opponent's lands. Obviously, we don't want to draw the Flooded Strand, so play out the fetch attack. At this point, we're kind of just in a top deck war. I'm surprised my opponent fetched there. Maybe they have the 4th force well, but that also just seems unlikely. I don't know. And we drew the Flooded Strand. Oh boy. Deck. Well, they're at 2. I'm not going to play that out. There's no reason to. All right, we got there somehow. Let's see what we drew on. It's always fun. All right. So I think this matchup's fairly straightforward. I want the Veil, I want the Skoos, I want both Pyroblasts, I want the Jace and the Minter. Usually I like 1 Return to Nature. I think that Sylvan Library is the main way that they get ahead in this sort of matchup. So stopping that is important. Don't like the Back to Basics was fine there, but in general I don't think it's good, especially since we're going up to our 4th color. Finding the last cut is always tough. I think Astrolabe's fine to cut here. Now the last question is if we want Surgical Extraction. I've seen lists go up to as many as 3 or 4 Uros and cut down to like a singleton Oko. And I think first that Surgical is just like so much of their Surgical just stops so much of their game plan of library plus Uro that it's probably worth the inclusion. It's just a matter of what to cut. Maybe Spell Pierce is bad just because, yeah, but still it just hits library in the early game, which is when it's relevant. Alright. Don't know how confident I am in this, but I am going to trim a 2nd Force of Will for this Surgical. And that might be very foolish, but we'll see how the game plays out. I have a feeling we're going to make the same play as the opponent on turn 1. I lied. Period. It's not a card I've seen in most of the lists. Double bottom. We are just going to play Astrolabe. It's a reasonable pickup. Right. Just going to ponder looking for a 3rd land here. Get to leave up Veil and or Pyroblast. These are good cards, but they are not lands, so I'm going to shuffle. With the Coatl, I don't think it's worth Pyroblasting. I think it's better to save Power Blast for potential Oko. Obviously, if I don't hit a land off my draw step or this Brainstorm, it's going to be rough because I'll have to discard. And so that's a reason to use the Power Blast. But I think with 4 looks, you're like over 80% or something. Okay, so now I think I just leave up my Coatl and all this stuff. It's nice to be able to Power Blast something and have Veil backup, potentially. And if not, then I just play the Coatl and stuff. Yikes, that's a lot of stuff. Jeez. I think this goes on the bottom, and then it's hard to say what goes underneath it. I kind of like the surgical because my opponent could be getting ready to play an Uro. Do I want to keep the second Veil? That's the question. Then do I want to Ponder Shuffle these away? Probably not. I think next turn is the turn I start playing, threat after threat after threat. And I think we want to trade here because if we land Teferi, it's nice to have a clean board. I probably should have put the Ponder on top instead of the Veil. That was definitely a small sequencing mistake on my part. I'll start with Mentor. The thing about Mentor is that if it resolves, I was gonna say, like say Teferi resolves, we don't really want to bounce the Astrolabe because we'll have to go to discard. If Oko resolves, there's some tension between making the Astrolabe an Elk and not doing that. Huh. It's probably fine. It's really rough. We just don't have an answer for that. At least if they Veil here, they don't draw a card. I think we're going to lose to this Mentor. So what can we do here? We could play Oko, Elk the Mentor. We might have to do that. Obviously, Oko dies right then and there, so it kind of sucks, but whatever. I think it's our best shot. Yikes. Yeah, I think their hand was just a little bit better than ours this game. If they're on the mentor plan, though, I think I'm going to turn the surgical back into a force of will. Maybe I want some sort of... Maybe I want Supreme Verdict. We'll see. Really surprised they played that before killing Teferi. Now we get to sort this with no, downside really. We might be able to claw back in, between bringing back Teferi and I was gonna say and this Uro, but I think we need to counter this. Well, we will get to bring back Teferi, bounce a token. Might not be good enough. Yeah, like any spell off the top will, at that point, be enough. Yeah, needing to pitch the Uro is basically the game there, I think. Yeah, okay. All right, so they're less all in on Uro than I previously thought, which means this card's bad, and Force of Will's good. I do think we would have just won that game with Force of Will. I think I want this as a consideration. We'll see. Is that better than Return to Nature? Return to Nature's dead more often. Yeah. Whatever. Let's try it. Sure. Okay, so I think we can't even... that's so brutal. So what are we doing next turn? We're leaving up Veil this turn, obviously. I don't think it will matter, but we're leaving it up. And then... I guess next turn we just play Uro to try and go through our deck. So we'll do this. Not having double blue means we can't snap Brainstorm, which would have been preferable. Yeah, that's really brutal. Maybe we play the Teferi just to try and bounce Library in that case. I think that's a little better. If they force a wallet, it's still a 2-for-1. Yeah. So everything sucks here against Abrupt Decay, because like we want to play something to the board, but Oko doesn't do anything against Decay. Mentor also doesn't, because we can't play spells. Alright, I think we just play Uro. Oops. So now this library's been a +1, which is traded even for their Force of Will. So in theory, we're about the same. But they have a Jace to follow up, which is really rough. Yeah, I don't think there was much we could have done in either of these games. I think my opponent's draw was just a little bit better than ours. We stumbled on mana. Yeah, so playing Oko last turn wouldn't have done anything. I can try to Power Blast the Jace and have Fluster or Veil up. So our Fluster loses to their Veil of Summer, and our Veil of Summer loses to their Flusterstorm. I guess our Flusterstorm also loses to their Flusterstorm. So Veil is better if they have Veil. So let's use Veil. I think we have to snap Power Blast this Oko. It's about all we can do. I'm doing this now to play around like Hardcast Force of Will or Force of Negation, where at least now they have to pitch a card. The fact that they're doing this now and not in response to Power Blast means they probably have another Oko to play. Yeah. Of course. Oh my god. I think we're going to Spell Pierce this. Spell Snare is more likely to get value over the course of a long game just because it's not like dependent on how much mana they have untapped. And Flush Storm, you can start like, you know, a stack battle over some sort of thing. I think I should have attacked their Oko with my Snapcaster. That's annoying. Definitely going to block an Astrolabe with Coatl, but probably not with Snapcaster. Yeah, I missed an attack. I'm so bad. I think I'm just a little bit tilted. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Too little, too late. Only drawing 3 lands in the top third of our deck. Absolutely lost us that game. Alright. Whatever. Shake it off. We'll be back for round 4.